about your social enterprise?
That's a tough question at this point in the program.
Anyway, it's okay. It's okay.
Small because renewable energy like for the first time. So to me, it's like more of a great eye opener. How can my enterprise be directed towards the renewable energy thing? Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. I've seen who else is there? Asmanye. Yes, Asmanye. How are you? How is the Delab going?
Hi, I'm good. I think I'm experiencing a bit of bad network. The lines keep cutting. I don't know if it's just me. But so far so good. Like I said, it's a new area for me, so I'm learning quite a lot.
All right. See, Martin. Martin, you haven't spoken since the program started. Martin, how is the Delab?
Hi, Jifuniro. Hi, everyone.
Yeah, I'm good.
I realized that I had a problem with my headset. So whenever I unmuted myself to talk, I would find that nothing is happening. So I just got a new headset. But can you hear me?
Yes,
No.
Mark, we can hear you.
Okay, great.
We can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yes, Martin.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah, so my experience has been quite great. It's been good to learn about mini grids and the potential that they have. As a growing renewable energy enterprise, I think it's something that it's been interesting to look at, to see the people that are actually doing, great things in the sector. So yeah, so far so good, and I look forward to today's learning.
Awesome. Olivia, how's it been so far?
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I think it has been quite an interesting exercise, and also learning from my core team member has been amazing. So I look forward to the rest of the training.
Okay, awesome. Who else is here? Lusekelo. Yes, Lusekelo. Any comments?
The program is actually inspiring. I'm one of the people who likes quotes. One of the quotes today, which I can talk about, is the one which was said by Paul Guda, who said he's an ex-banker. He said, our future is out there and not in the office. So as a farmer, I feel inspired by such statements. Thank you.
I think he's got a network challenge.
I'm getting you properly.
Oh, okay, fine. Awesome. All right. Okay, Wayne, let me hand over to you. Just make some few remarks, and then we start this program.
I'll get us started. Again, I'm in the western part of the United States at the moment, and it is just after 7 o'clock in the morning, and but things are good here. I hope everybody's being very, very careful with the COVID virus over there, my friends. All I can say is that the situation is very bad here, and I don't want it to get bad in Malawi. So everybody's going to be real smart, okay? But I thought the Tuesday's program with Hastings and Edgar was just fabulous. And as someone said, if you're new to renewable energy, that was a very good briefing on it. And you can see this as a marriage between agriculture and renewable energy. And with Malawi definitely gaining. So those of you who are farming, you know, that you'll benefit from being electrified and or having biomass. And for the energy people, we've got to pay attention and realize that agricultural users are critical to the success of energy expansion. So again, it's a marriage between two fields, and I think it's going well. And I hope more people join us. So let's get started. We have another great session, and let's go for it. Go ahead, Chief.
Okay, thank you so much, Wayne. Today we are privileged. We have a young person whose social enterprise attended the Delab Festival of Grid Energy Delab in Zuzu, Clement Kandodo. He wants to share with us on biogas. I'll let him introduce himself, how he started, what he does, and then you continue with the session from there. Clement, you can share the screen. I've already made the settings available for you. Please, you're welcome. Thank you.
Hi, Clement.
Clement?
Yes, hi everyone.
Yep.
Okay, let me just share my screen. Are you able to see it?
Yes, we are able to see it. If you can.
Clearly?
No, you need
Are you able
to.
to see it clearly? Zoom it?
Yes, zoom it.
There?
Yeah. Yeah, better. Yes.
Okay, cool. So this is my slide. It's just one, but it has got all the information that I need to share with you. So first of all, my name is Clement Kandodo. I'm the founder and the CEO of Ecogen. So mainly Ecogen operate as a social business. Mainly we are into biogas technology. So what we do is we provide technically advanced biogas systems so that our customers can convert the available organic waste into a renewable biogas energy and organic fertilizer. For those maybe you don't know what biogas is is energy made from organic waste through anaerobic fermentation. So basically, we started in 2018. We are almost 2 years now. But since we started, we have reached over to 3,000 people with access to clean energy, waste management, but also in agriculture by providing organic fertilizer. And since we started, we have also won over 9 awards and recognitions. And the most recent one being the Climate Innovation Award by Malawi government, where we emerged as among the 5 winners and were awarded with a grant money of $40,000. And another one is what we call Africa versus Coronavirus challenge by African Development Bank. So our innovation was awarded with also grant money for being one of the innovative business ideas in Africa to fight coronavirus. So some of you maybe might ask how biogas can fight coronavirus. So the idea is our technology enables families to get essential materials, especially energy, waste management, but also organic foods right at their homes. So what basically our technology works, it works like a waste bin. So whatever available organic waste that you have, this is the bin where you put your waste. And this bin is designed in such a way that it should give you biogas energy that you can use it for cooking and then other energy needs. And also this bin, whatever feed it comes out as organic fertilizer, whereby you can have a garden at your home and grow your organic foods. So in the process, you are limiting yourselves from moving out to get these essential materials, and in the process, you are protecting yourself from getting this COVID-19. But also you are able to get access to clean energy, waste management, but also organic food. So back to my presentation, I was told to have just a brief of what biogas is all about. I won't go much in deep, but it will be just an introduction. So if you see the picture in my presentation, so at the middle there is something like a tube. Are you able to see it?
Yes.
Hello? Yes, yes. So
Yes.
that tube is a biogas digester, or we can call it a waste bin. So to your right there is an inlet where you put your waste, and to your left there is the outlet where once the waste have been broken down, goes out as organic fertilizer. And there is also another pipe that goes to your kitchen, and it connects with the stove or any other energy needs that you can connect, so you can use it for cooking or lighting or whatsoever. So if you see at the top there, the top, very top one, you can see the woman cooking, say clean cooking. You can see that a child there lighting, there is a bulb. So as I'm saying, you can use biogas for cooking, you can use biogas for lighting, and there is also saying hot water. You can heat the water like the way it works with geyser. There is also a generator there. You can convert the biogas into electricity that you can use to charge your phone, TV, whatsoever that you want. So basically, mainly what goes into, if you see the same on top to your right, the top, there is toilet. So the waste that you can put in this biogas system is toilet waste, human waste. You can put animal waste, like cow dung, chicken, droppers, pigs, whatsoever animal waste. You can also put in the food waste. For example, at home, almost each and every home do have food waste, the food leftovers. Like in Malawi, in Sima, vegetables, rice, tomato, whatever food left over. So you put in this biogas plant, and what gives you is the ones that I told you are cooking, lighting, hot water, or generating electricity, whatever you want. So in terms of benefit, first, your left hand side there is rock fertilizer. As I said, biogas, one of the byproducts is the organic fertilizer. So this is the fertilizer. Instead of you using chemical fertilizer, you can use this fertilizer to grow your food. If it is at your home, you can have a small garden. If it is at a farm, you can also use it at your farm. And also this organic fertilizer can be used as a natural pesticide, okay? So instead of using these other pesticides, you are able to use natural pesticides produced by this technology. But also you look at improved soil health. So in this case, this is basically the manure. So as you're no longer using chemical fertilizer, this fertilizer produced biogas, it improves your soil health and improves crop production by 20%. As you can see here, your crop production increases by 20% as compared to using other fertilizers that you can use. So you get so many advantages. You save a lot of money. Instead of you go and buy chemical fertilizer, but just owning this system, you are save money by producing your own fertilizer. But also we are looking at economic activities that you can have by owning the system. Okay, one of which is you can sell whatever farm produce that you are growing. That means you're getting more money by the end of it. But also you can also bake with biogas, baking and other whatever business that you can do that requires energy, you can do it. But also, if you see down there, there is a woman carrying a bag. You can sell the biogas to your neighbors and then be able to generate more money. But also the fertilizer now. If you don't want to use the fertilizer, you can sell to your neighbors to use this fertilizer, and it gives you money by the end of the day. Okay. So another impact that this you can get out of using biogas technology is now you're looking at a healthy family. You can just imagine getting free energy, you're getting organic foods, happy family, more money. Okay, you are able to use hot water, lighting, and all that just by owning the system. So by the end of it, you'll be happy people. Okay, but also you're looking at the food security. As I said, in terms of increase of your farm produce, we are looking of also increase in food security. but also we looking at, of course, life quality. As I've also been repeating, the basic income increases also. Another impact that this technology also makes on environmental friendly. It is environmental friendly as in the case that it reduces deforestation. So for you, instead of using charcoal, using wood fuel, you're able to make your own renewable energy and replace the use of this illegal fuel, charcoal, wood fuel, and even LPG. Okay? But also you reduce habitat loss, because if you use charcoal, if you use wood fuel, that means a lot of trees are lost, and a lot of animals they can't have anywhere to have their homes. So that's it. Another important thing that this technology provides is improved air quality. So if you have a loss of trees, that means the air quality improves. Yeah, sure. So this is what biogas technology does. What you have, what you need to produce biogas, the advantages of using biogas as the products, and so forth. So reaching this far, I think I should first stop here, but I'll need maybe questions. The second is I'll share a video so that at least you can visually learn how this technology works. Sure.
Okay, can you go ahead sharing the video, please?
Okay, I should go ahead. Okay, cool. Are you able to see it?
The video has not started. We are just able to see the, maybe if you play it, can you play it?
Coronavirus? Yes, I will play it.
I think you should check on the sharing screen and start and click on the part where the video is being shown.
Okay, you're not able to see it.
We are not able to see the video.
Oh, okay. Let me
go to the share screen, and there'll be.
Let me do it again.
Oh, Clement, maybe we can take some few questions, and you email me the video. I can play it from here whilst you are responding to the questions. Is that okay? Okay, I see you.
Now I think
it's gonna work. Yeah, I think it's gonna work.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, it's working. Thank you. Go ahead. And the sound, please. Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Sure.
Thank
So
you.
that's it.
Awesome.
So yeah, sure.
Awesome. Can biogas, let me start asking the question. Can biogas be produced by like people in the rural areas? Can this be done?
Very, very possible. And that's our main target area.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay, for example, okay, let me just expand in this way. Okay, as you said, we said, if you look at people mostly that are using a lot of charcoal, a lot of wood fuel, are those that are in rural areas. Okay, and it's a big problem in Malawi, and I've seen even the government is taking an initiative to make sure that they ban the use of charcoal and wood fuel. And if you look at the trend of the costing of wood fuel, there's been rising a lot. So that means in coming years, it will be the prices will be very high. Okay, so most people, especially in rural areas, will be the one most affected. And our population is increasing. We also look at the demand also increase. Okay, and also if you look at the agriculture part of it, in Malawi, most people are farmers. And actually, we are working with Malawi Milk Producers Association of Malawi Milk Producers Association. So this organization have got a group of 21,000 dairy farmers only. Okay, so we are looking at only the dairy farmers. Okay, what if you look at also at other farmers of livestock, for example, and other farmers that have got other waste? Okay, so if you see in that angle, you find out that there's huge potential, huge demand in rural areas. Okay, but also our technology also focus in urban areas. As I said, that this works as a waste bin. So especially in Malawi, people even in urban areas, they're using charcoal, they're using wood fuel. Okay, but mostly at our homes, we do have waste almost daily, food waste. Okay, So you can have our system as a waste bin, but also this system, as I said, gives you gas that you can use for cooking. So in the process, you save a lot of money. Sure.
Okay. Anyone with a question, please? Yes, Wezi, go ahead.
Thank you so much, Clement. That's wonderful. I wanted to find out how long does the digester take to break the waste down into energy and the organic fertilizer? And in terms of, let's say you've filled it in with the toilet waste, and you take the manure afterwards, you apply into vegetables. Does the digester kill the antigens and the germs as you take the products out? And how much is the process of installing the digester if someone would want to? Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so basically, okay, so the process takes, some people always confuse this. Okay, so what actually happens is once we come and install the biogas system, okay, at that initial stage, for you to produce biogas, minimum, it can take you 3 days. Some it can take you a month. It depends on the active bacteria that are doing the breakdown of the waste inside the biogas system. At some point, we come with our active bacteria so that biogas can start produced at least immediately. But what actually happens is that the process is continuous. So because we understand you do have waste almost daily, so we advise you also to put your waste minimum, of course, daily or maybe after 2 days, 3 days, or a week. So in that case, you are able to produce your gas continuously as well, which of course daily as well. Okay. For example, ourselves, we have a second biogas plant. We put waste that was in June last year. Okay, that was just initial waste that we put, but it started producing gas, of course, some days afterwards, and it was until November we are producing gas, but not without putting waste inside. Okay, so it all depends. The gas, I mean, the waste that you are putting. On the other question of the effectiveness of the toilet waste, mainly we don't promote using toilet waste to especially vegetables, tomato. We promote using toilet waste to especially like horticulture. I mean, the trees, bananas, those things. Okay, because of course there is a process that we have to make sure that all the bacteria, harmful bacteria, have been killed, but this process is quite costly. Okay, so it depends for a customer that you have installed the system. If you you want to undergo that, we can install all this process. That means you can use the end product whatsoever crops that you want. If not, you want a shortcut, this is what we advise, that don't use to things like vegetables, tomato, and so forth. So in terms of the costing of the our digesters, so mainly the lower standard system that we sell, it starts with 350,000 Malai Kwaja. And this system has got a lifespan of 8 years, and we provide a warranty for 2 years. Yeah, and we provide also free installation and after sale service. And this comes with everything, like it comes with installation itself, the biogas plant, the stove, and also provide the one bulb. Okay. And another pricing for the same, of course, size is for 600,000. This one has got a lifespan of 15 to 20 years, and we provide a warranty for 5 years. And also other accessories that we provide is the rice cooker. We provide the double burner stove and also one bulb. Okay. Sure. So I hope I've answered your question well. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Clement. We really appreciate for that comprehensive presentation. Wayne, do you have anything to add? Any question, comment?
Yeah. Yeah, and I have a question also. If there is space. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Aubrey, maybe we should just hold you. We have another presenter coming up. So because of time, maybe Wayne, make your comments and then we'll have another presenter. Yeah, sure.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay, sure. Yes, Wayne.
Yeah, just very briefly, Clement, that was a great job. And I have a lot of questions that I can't ask you right now. I think the biggest issue for me is whether or not we can build village level systems like this. I mean, I think this is a terrific system for a family or a small farm. But if you had a cooperative, do you know of good examples of a village level system?
Can you come again, your question, please? Sorry.
Yeah, I just wondered about the ability to scale up a system like this to make it larger so that it can produce more and so that a whole village could contribute their waste and there could be one system to produce slurry and other things for a couple hundred people.
Yes. Basically, we have that model. Actually, I wanted to share with you also. I have a video that explains better. But we have that system whereby, for example, we have one here in Lilongwe, in Kawale. So we take waste from around the Kawale community, and those waste we produce, we have a bigger system. We produce the biogas and package it in bags, and we sell back to the community. The fertilizer also, we package it and sell back to the community. So I think I'll be able to share with you more information about that. But it's very, very possible, and we are doing it.
Well, congratulations. You're doing a great job.
Sure.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Clement. I think Khadija, I think let's have another session now, another presenter. Clement,
okay, let me just
go ahead.
I'll just add my contacts on the chat.
Yep.
For those that may need more information, you can get me that.
Okay, fine.
Sure.
Awesome.
Thank you, Clement.
Thank you so much, Clement. Yep.
Thank you.
Khadija. I saw Khadija. Oh, she's here. Yes. Let's yes. Khadija, this is now your time with another presentation. Khadija. Thanks, Clement, for the contacts. Khadija? Okay, maybe Aubrey, you can just ask that question whilst you are waiting for Khadija.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So, yeah, Mr. Gandodo, thank you so much for such a clear presentation. I've got, I think, two quick questions, very tied to each other. What's the biggest machine that this biogas technology can actually power? And if okay, so imagine, let's imagine an irrigation pump, that you're trying to power using biogas, for example, that. Or maybe you can, if that's maybe difficult to imagine, maybe we can try, a refrigerator. Let's say a chest of freezer. Yeah. What would that kind of machine be powered, and what does that mean in terms of the amount of waste that has to go into the digester? Like roughly what kind of like what sort of weight, what sort of mass are we looking at in order to power such a machine as a chest of freezer? Yes, I hope that makes sense. Thank you.
Okay, cool. Okay, fine. Okay, so actually the biggest machine, of course, biggest biogas plants that can give you 2 megawatts or more energy. Yes, a single machine. Okay, single bigger biogas plant. Okay, they are there, and that means you also need a lot of waste to do that. Okay, so any amount of waste, I think, that you want is very possible. The machines are there. Just need money to do the installation and so forth. In terms of irrigation pump and other electronic machinery, yes, it's very, very well possible to use biogas for anything, basically. Fan, TV, as I said before. And we have special freezers that use biogas directly, that you don't need to convert it to electricity using generator. So basically, it's very possible. And for just to tell more about the energy requirements, so just for example, the 1 cubic meter biogas plant, that's biogas, that's around 1,000 liters biogas, can give you around 2 to 2.5 kilowatts an hour per day. Okay, so that's the energy that you get. But this is the almost the average energy that an average family can produce in a day, and maybe with just 3 kgs, 2 kgs of food waste. And if you have, let's say if you are a livestock farmer, you have pigs, around 15 kgs, 10 kgs of pig manure, around 20 kgs of cow dung that you have. So that's it. I hope I've answered your question.
Yeah,
Sir?
you have. And while you're still there, before you go, so imagine I'm trying to power a chest freezer, and let's say let's imagine I've got like 50 kgs of organic waste, to power it.
Mhm.
If I wanted to run for a week, yeah, it means that every day I have to stock up on the waste, yeah, to maintain the 50 kgs of waste. Is that right?
Yes, sure. So basically, for example, the 50 kgs, yes, can give you a lot of energy to use, but it depends on your energy needs then, that we can advise you to say, okay, based on what you're looking for, that means you need to have this amount of waste, and that maybe after maybe 2 days or a day or after a week, something like that. So the way we work, basically, we provide the consultation to say, based on your energy needs, this is the amount of waste that you are required per day.
All right, thank you so much. I think I've seen another question there, but we will find a way of handling that. Khadija is here. Khadija, welcome to this afternoon session. Please, we've been waiting for you. Yeah, sure. So you can start your presentation. You can share the screen.
Okay, thanks, Chief Oniro. Just to confirm if everyone can hear me.
Yes, we're hearing you.
Okay, I just now need to figure out how to share my screen. I think that's the one.
Khadija, this is Wayne. Could you tell us a little bit about your background, where you're working before you start?
Okay, I can do that. Just confirm if you can see my screen so long.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, perfect. All right. So my name is Khadija Musa. My background is in development studies as a whole. I'm currently working at GIZ in the Energizing Development Program. And basically, I head the component on improved cook stoves. Particularly in the project, we work with firewood cook stoves, especially Chitete Zombaula. We also do some work with small household solar systems as well. That's a different component that another colleague works in. And then at the same time, we also have a new component where we're hoping that soon we'll start also working with Flame Tree on productive use for renewable energy. So basically in our work, not only do we just look at improved firewood cook stoves where we target mostly the rural population, but we also coordinate what's known as the National Cook Stove Steering Committee. We coordinate this together with United Purpose as a secretariat, and more recently 265 Energy, which is a gas company, as well as a project funded by USAID and UK Aid, which is now FCDO, called Modern Cooking for Healthy Forests. So these are different organizations that coordinate the National Cook Stove Steering Committee, and the Cook Stove Steering Committee looks at improved cook stoves overall, not just for firewood, but using other alternative fuels in the country, as well as what can be adapted from outside the country. In 2012, 2013, Malawi decided to sign up to what is known as, at the time it was the Global Alliance for Clean Cooking. Now it's known as the Clean Cooking Alliance. And they basically said, okay, by the end of 2020, we want to make sure that there are 100 million improved cook stoves that are disseminated worldwide. And so Malawi's contribution to that, and I think at the time the president was Dr. Joyce Banda, we said, okay, our contribution to that 100 million would be 2 million cook stoves by the end of the year 2020. And so the National Cook Stove Steering Committee began to work towards reaching that goal. Now, the National Cook Stove Steering Committee basically has stakeholders that work in different aspects, whether they are producers of stoves or producers of alternative fuels, or they're civil society organizations, or they're donor organizations that fund these projects, or there are other just random projects that decide to mainstream clean cooking into their work. So it's led or headed by the Ministry of Energy, and the other organizations basically support. So today I'm going to talk a bit more about what's on the ground in terms of cook stoves and alternative fuels for cooking in Malawi. So basically the background of the Malawi energy mix basically shows us that currently about 3.2 million households are relying on biomass for their energy needs. And if we look at it, if you look at the statistics, it shows you that 89% of the energy that is consumed in Malawi is coming from biomass. 83% of the energy that's consumed by just households alone is also biomass. So that tells you that 99% of household energy is from biomass as well. And at this point, we see that biomass is here. It's not going anywhere. It's here for the foreseeable future. And it's quite critical in our national energy landscape. Now, the impact of having this amount of people, this many people relying on biomass, there's several impacts. There are health impacts, the environmental impacts. Currently, I'm highlighting on the slide the environmental impacts is that 50,000 hectares are lost each year to deforestation. So, for example, right now you see that the major cry for cooking fuel in the urban areas is to want to use charcoal because electricity is not available. Because of that, all the increased charcoal production, all the tree cutting for charcoal production is going to lead to more soil erosion, and more soil erosion then leads to an increase of flooding, risks of flooding, especially in the rainy season. This then leads to an increased siltation in the rivers, and those are the same rivers that feed into our hydroelectricity generation plants. So that's when you hear ESCOM saying we've got to shut down such and such a power plant because we've had siltation. And because they shut down, then more people then go and cut down more trees so that they can make more charcoal so that people can cook with more charcoal while the electricity is not available. So it's a never ending cycle. And at this point, the NCSC decided, listen, we know we need to increase the wood fuel efficiency so that we can reduce the pressure on the existing forest resources. So what we do as we promote cleaner cooking is that we try to provide a mitigating measure to the impacts that have been mentioned above. So a lot of people ask the question, if whenever you hear about energy being spoken about, a lot of the times it's referring to electricity and lighting. But we also look at the fact that cooking matters. And why does it matter? If you look at the energy demands that are coming from Malawi, again, about 80% approximately is from the households. Transportation takes a larger chunk as well, industry, service, but those are much smaller. Cooking is what's taking the majority of the energy demand from the households in the country. And so about 80+% of the energy mix in Malawi is coming from solid biomass. So this is your trees, your agricultural residue, and so on and so forth. Other fuels are there, they're available, but not in abundance. So cooking energy from biomass seems to be the most important energy demand. But then if you look at it, cooking energy actually receives the least attention. If you look at things such as the national budget, there's not that much that's allocated towards cooking as a whole. So this is why now we come in and we engage the different ministries that are involved with the lead of the Ministry of Energy, trying to rope in the Ministry of Health, the Ministry of Education, Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry and Natural Resources, so they can all see finance as well, so they can all play their part, because all of their actions are necessary. There's a health impact, there's an agricultural impact if you improve cooking. Financially, we need Ministry of Finance to put in some measures, for example, such as tax relief, so that improved technologies can come into the country easier and manufacturers can make them more available to people and more affordable. In the country, we currently track how many stoves we are at towards reaching that goal. This is just a screenshot, an older screenshot. If this is the link for it, we have what's called the Malawi National Cook Stove Database. So in this database, you'd be able to see who is producing what stoves, what are they producing, where are they located on the map, where are the districts, when was the data that was entered into that database. And what we do is we find out from the different manufacturers and the different producers and players on the ground, and then we update the database as and when we verify. So right now on this screenshot, for example, we were at 1 million, a little over 1 million. Right now, if you go to it, I think it's showing a little over 1.5 million, but that's because we're still in the process of verifying the figures that we got when we reached the 2 million goal. But I'm happy to say that Malawi actually did reach our 2 million goal. We reached it in October of last year, so we actually beat the deadline of the end of 2020. And we're actually not quite sure when exactly we reached it, but come October, we were counting 2,043,625 stoves. So we know that for sure by now, I'm pretty sure we've actually gone much higher, because there were still producers who were bringing in figures and we just had not verified those yet. So what we did is we had a little celebration event last year. Normally we have an annual cleaner cooking camp, and this is where we present all these different technologies to different people so that different people can appreciate it. It's usually open to the public. But unfortunately, due to COVID-19, we had to push that back and didn't have it. We thought we could organize one last year. We couldn't do that either. So we just had a small event that was televised, NBC TV. We also had a panel discussion that Zodiac Radio put together. And there's a few videos that are also there just highlighting how exactly what happened in this event. And so what we've decided to do now is look forward. What is the next goal? And at this point, quite a few questions came up. This was a goal set for cook stoves. So we're talking about, oh, do we also want to make goals for fuels as well? Because like we're saying, you cannot just promote a cook stove. You've got to pair the two. You've got to promote a cook stove together with its fuel. So these are conversations now that need to start. And particularly with the new government that's come into power now, there was a bit of instability in the past. We couldn't put down or pin down new goals. But now that we have people in place in every single position, we hope that this year we sit down with them and then we start the strategy towards what are the next goals. But the impacts, for example, for being able to reach this goal are several. If we look at the estimated figures, we see that just by stoves that average 2-year lifespans, and that's the baseline, the Chitete Zombaula that Enda, for example, works with. But there's other stoves in the country that have a longer lifespan, 3 years, 4 years. But just looking at a 2-year stove, 2-year lifespan stove, you can see that the average annual savings per stove is about 1,350 kgs of wood or 2 tons of carbon dioxide emitted on a yearly basis. For Chitete Zombaula itself, this stove costs approximately $2. Sorry, it says 1 there, but it's actually 2. In Malawi, it costs 1,500 kwacha. And you're looking at over 200 active producer groups. And each of these groups that make this clay stove, it's a clay portable stove, each of them has about 20 plus minus 20 members each. Majority of those are all female. So that's another aspect that's coming in. There's a lot of, there's women empowerment in there. They are given financial literacy trainings. They're given business training so that they can professionalize what they do. And it's gotten to the point where, because they make stoves as their living, when it comes to your farming season, they now outsource that. In Chichewa, you'd say aganyu. They give piecework to other people to go and do the plowing in the fields for them, to go and do the harvesting for them, because their main source of income is now stove production. Just that image on the right there just has different other statistics that have shown how improved cooking has actually benefited the lives of people. We've got things like jobs created, over 4,000 jobs created. Some of the stoves are fixed stoves, so some households have to be trained on how to make that. Over 400,000 of those. We've got PM 2.5 exposure has been minimized by 46%. Carbon monoxide exposure also minimized by 44%. So these are the health aspects from the smoke that comes out from when somebody cooks on a 3-stone fire or cooks on an unimproved technology. We've got wood savings that are coming in. We've got income generation coming in. And we've also got savings on the amount of carbon dioxide that's emitted into the atmosphere. So for the fuels that are available in Malawi, we currently have LPG, liquefied petroleum gas. And over here, I just have a picture of the base on the top left is like the baseline. Most people, when they start using LPG, they use it as a backup. And they would have like that cylinder and it has a cooker ring on top. But others then gradually graduate to a 2-plate burner. Sometimes they would have a 4-plate burner that even has an oven. For example, I cook with gas completely. I don't use electricity at all because I like the convenience of having to be able to cook whenever I want, and not that when there's a blackout, now I must suffer and go and, light a stove outside with charcoal. I'm not about that life. Next, we have biogas. Clement was just talking about this. And I think, Wayne, this might actually answer your question that you had for Clement about having a role type of setting where that can supply a village. So the picture in the middle here is a plant that's set up at Sangano Market in Cheu. This is quite a busy market. So this is a project that's being done by Green Impact Technologies. They're the implementers, but the research from this came from MUST, Malawi University of Science and Technology. They're the ones who designed it. And so Green Impact Technologies are the ones who then came up with the source the funding rather and put together this in place. So there's room. Unfortunately, this image is a bit limiting, but there's room like at the back. There's a slaughterhouse. So all the sludge that comes in from like when they slaughter the animals, it all goes into there. There's all this vegetable waste as well around because it's a market area. It all goes into there, and it's not yet fully operational. But the idea behind this is that people can come and collect biogas in a bag. On the left there, I've got a biogas bag, a balloon-ish bag. The idea there, and you can carry this on your back. This is actually somebody who's got this on their back. So the idea is to come to this place, refill, and take the bag back home with you. And on the right there, I think I have a picture of just some parts of the stove itself, the ones that they at Green Impact are using for that. And then you've also got fuels that are made from agricultural waste and residues. So people make what are called pellets. These are little tiny like tubes, maybe about the size of a cigarette, or rather, yeah, the thickness of a cigarette. Sometimes they can be thicker actually, but the ones in this left picture over there, they're made from sawdust. So for example, companies up north who are timber companies, when they've got that leftover sawdust, they can compress that into pellets, and those pellets can be used in a specific type of stove, a gasifier stove, and people can cook with that. You've got crop residues as well. You've got maize cobs, for example. Maize cobs are also good to use in the Jitete Zombaola. Crop residues as well. Rice husks can be used in gasifier stoves. And then to the right there, I've got briquettes, and you've got two different types. You've got carbonized briquettes and uncarbonized briquettes. So these over here are the non-carbonized, and most of the time the raw materials that I use for that are sawdust, paper, like the ones at the bottom there, the white ones, rice husks, and other agricultural waste. So different shapes and different sizes come out because of different uses. On the top left there, those can be used in a Chitete Zombaola because they're like log-shaped. Even the ones on the right as well, log-shaped. The ones at the bottom, they would be used in what would be called a Delab gasifier. So that's a top-lit updraft gasifier stove. Essentially what happens is when the fuel is burning, they would then produce whatever gas it is that is required to provide the heat for cooking the stove. That's what we call a gasification process. For carbonized fuels in the country, we've got several players on the ground that are making sustainable charcoal. Now, when I say sustainable charcoal, and then when I say unsustainably produced charcoal or illegal charcoal, the illegal charcoal is the charcoal that we all know, the ones that we see on the side of the road, at the marketplace. That charcoal is illegal. Why is it illegal? It's illegal because it's produced in an unsustainable manner. About half of the firewood that is burned, half of the energy rather from the firewood that is burned to produce that charcoal that we see on the side of the road is actually lost during that charcoal making process because the people use traditional earth mount kilns, and those are not efficient. Those don't contain the energy that's required to make the most use or the value for money when making charcoal. So now we've got players on the ground who actually produce charcoal in a sustainable manner. Kawandama Hills is at the top left there. They were the first to actually, their eucalyptus plantation up north, they were the first company to actually get a license in Malawi to produce charcoal sustainably. The middle picture is charcoal from AfriBam. Right now, you are seeing there's pictures of it there's packets of it in stores. It's called Bam Brick. And next to it, I've got charcoal in a hexagon shape. That's from a company called Malasha. To the right, I've got charcoal from JICA Dzalanyama. So Dzalanyama Forest Reserve, together with JICA, the Japan International something agency, JICA. Anyway, they came together and decided, listen, we also need to be able to empower people around the forest area so that they stop burning charcoal unsustainably and start making it in a sustainable manner. And then at the bottom, also, I've got pictures of possible bamboo charcoal. So AfriBam that I mentioned, Bam Brick, their charcoal is actually a combination of acacia, 50%, and 50% bamboo. So they're the only ones who are actually making charcoal coming out of bamboo. And this is charcoal that they're sourcing from non-indigenous species, and they're burning this in efficient kilns. For example, they're using the half dome kiln, or some call it the orange kiln, others call it the beehive kiln. A steel kiln or a drum is also possible to use. I think there's one player on the ground who's doing that. And a Kontiki kiln, that's the kiln that Afrobam use. So they're making carbonized briquettes, and these can have raw materials coming from anything from groundnut shells, sawdust, agricultural waste, and then normally they would use a binder such as clay or a starch like cassava just to bind the products together when they compress them in the machines. So the design principles of stoves that use biomass fuel types, there's two types. For uncarbonized fuels, those are log-shaped, so such as firewood or such as those long briquettes that I showed you. So stoves like that would be something like the Chitete Zombao at the bottom there, or this Zama Zama stove over here, which is a rocket stove. So you have to essentially continuously feed or push the fuel wood into the stove. And then on the right there, you've got carbonized stoves for carbonized fuels. So carbonized fuels come in the shape of lumps or chunks. They can't be pushed into the stove. So they need a container, and they need either holes at the bottom to catch the ash. For example, with charcoal, like we know we've got the current stove that everybody knows for charcoal is actually an improved charcoal stove called the Kenyan Jiko ceramic. So you basically feed the stove, you feed the stove in batches of charcoal. Or you've got things like the pellets that I was talking about. In here, it's also batch fed, but usually the design is slightly different. These are TLAD gasifiers, TLAD meaning top lid upward draft. So at the bottom of it is where you put in your biomass, and as that biomass burns, it produces a gas, and that gas in that yellow area there is what produces the heat that then makes the fire that cooks the food that you've got. We've also got innovations that are from other countries in Africa, and these are also modalities that can be replicated in Malawi, because a lot of times people talk about, we're saying stop charcoal, but what are the alternatives that are available, and how can we make these affordable? So currently there are some projects on the ground who want to start working with what's known as MEX, the Modern Energy Cooking Services. And these guys are, this is some pictures I took from when I attended the Clean Cooking Forum in Kenya last year, no, 2019 in November. And basically they promote cooking with electricity. They say, you know what, cooking with electricity is actually quite cheap, not as expensive as people think, but that's also if you use the right appliances. So they started a project to encourage people to use what are known as EPCs, electric pressure cookers, so that you could make the most of the grid that's there in Kenya. Now the difference with the grid in Kenya is that about 90% of the electricity grid is actually generated from renewable energy sources. So at this point, they've got way too much electricity and not enough people using it, because people are still used to the old ways of cooking with charcoal, for example, or cooking with firewood, or whatever else it is that they use. So now there's excess electricity, and they would like for people to have the most out of what is there on the grid right now that will not burn holes in their pockets. And so they come up with different modalities. Over here, they were comparing in a demonstration to the picture at the bottom right there. At the very far back, there's what's an electric pressure cooker. Then right in front, there's a hot plate. And then to the right, there's an induction cooker or an infrared cooker. So they were just doing a demonstration just to compare how much electricity was used by each device to cook the exact same thing. I know in Kenya's diet, a lot of it is based on legumes, so your beans and things like that, which take a lot of time to cook. And they just wanted to show people that you can still cook beans, for example, and use 0.02 units, as opposed to if you cook it on a hot plate stove, because you use that much more. So what they do is they then give users this device over here, which can help you measure the amount of units that you use when cooking a meal. So when you plug it into your socket, you plug the device onto that monitor so that it can tell you how much electricity you've used, how much units of electricity. They also encourage people to use induction cookers, like I said, as opposed to a normal hot plate, because the designs of these devices are different, and they're designed to use less energy, and therefore less energy means less money being used. It is actually the cheapest way to cook these heavy foods. At the end of it, they also provide what is known as an e-cookbook, which can also be downloaded from these websites, and it gives you different ideas on, different food groups and how to cook them, whether you're using charcoal or you're using gas or you're using electricity, how to make the best out of cooking your heavy foods using any of these devices. So if anybody wants to actually download that, it's for free. You can check it out. It's actually quite interesting and quite helpful. And then at the expo as well, the Innovation Expo, they also had different modalities for charcoal, for example. Right now, we know the current stove that we use for charcoal, the same one that you find in the market, but there are also more improved versions of charcoal stoves, such as this stove by Burn Manufacturing. It's called the Jikokoa. Jiko means stove. It means mbaula in Kenya. So this particular model is known as the Jikokoa, and they also have the firewood stoves as well that allow you to charge your phones, and they can also light households. So whatever energy is released by burning as you cook, you can also use that energy to do other things. So different companies came to this place and said, listen, you can also have lighting by virtue of cooking. You can also charge your phone by virtue of cooking. There's also another company known as Cocoa Networks, and they promote cooking with ethanol. And this is something that, especially here, the Minister of Energy is actually quite interested in, because we've got a lot of ethanol production going on in the rural areas. Everybody is making cachaso, and you can actually use that for cooking as well. Unfortunately, for a lot of people, they say, listen, it's difficult to transport ethanol. So instead of them distributing fuel bottles, they then placed vending machines in stores. So imagine here, every Sana or every Peoples or every Chipiku having like a place with a vending machine where you can just come with your fuel bottle and you can just refill it. And that's how then people in Kenya go and get their refills from for their ethanol. Here, we're still debating on whether or not it would be a viable thing, because the price of ethanol, as you know, is also pegged to the price of fuel, because ethanol is used to blend with fuel. So some say it wouldn't be competitive. There'd be no point in looking into ethanol for cooking, but we'll see. Different players want to come into the country and they want to try it out. GI Cleaning also does the same thing. Clean Energy, rather, they look at both ethanol and methanol. So these are also options that can be explored for cooking in Malawi. A company known as EnviroFit, which is actually here in Malawi, also sells these charcoal stoves that are at the bottom there. But in Kenya, they also have LPG stoves. So they say, okay, you know what, here in Malawi, we're trying to push the urban population to stop using charcoal, and they should migrate to gas instead, because we're saying electricity is still not that much available. Why don't you migrate to gas? But a lot of people don't want to join the gas bandwagon because, one, about safety issues, they're not too sure what they are. That's the easy part. We can get people to know the safety measures. Cooking with any method is actually dangerous in its own right. There's also dangers you face when cooking with electricity. There's dangers you face when cooking with firewood, when cooking with charcoal. Every method has dangers, but there's also ways to mitigate those. But then the next thing becomes the startup costs. The appliances for gas are quite expensive. The cylinder itself is expensive. The gas itself is not, but the appliances and the stoves themselves, the startup costs for those are expensive. This is why the NCSC decided to lobby the government and say, listen, you need to remove taxes on LPG. So far, the government has only removed on LPG cylinders themselves, as well as on wood cook stoves. But we're still trying to push to say they should still remove certain taxes so that it can be easier for people to adopt these technologies. In Kenya, however, they say, you know what, it's fine. We're going to do a pay-as-you-go model, which allows people to purchase like a full cylinder, a cylinder of gas that is full, and then you can buy units essentially for the amount of gas that you're able to use at the time. So when your units run out, that cylinder no longer releases gas for you. And this actually improves the adoption rates there, because the startup costs being expensive, if you have a modality where you can do it on a daily basis, then you'd actually go for that. Even though, and the savings are actually greater when you compare to using charcoal or firewood. So that's something that government in Malawi wants to start looking at, and they want to work with companies like Afrox, like 265 Energy into doing it, but we're still quite a long way. And then the last one would be the pellets. This is something that's actually being done in Zambia by a company known as Supermoto. So they use the mini moto stove, this red stove, and this stove uses pellets. So this is a gasifier stove. It's a top-lit updraft or a T-led gasifier stove. In Milongo, we decided to try and pilot this about plus minus 1,000 people around Kanengo were given Mimi Moto stoves. They were distributed by a company known as Energy Africa, and they were supplied with pellets that are made by a company called Pixus in Kanengo. But unfortunately, that then stopped because it wasn't too sustainable of a model. The pellets are easy to produce, but the stove itself actually costs plus minus 60,000 kwacha. So it was difficult to get people on board to buy the stove. These ones who have the stove were actually given for free, so that maybe if others see how beneficial it is, then you can start packaging pellets, for example. The way we have, guys walking around on a bicycle with charcoal on the back and selling to households door to door, you can do the same thing with pellets. People just need to have the actual stove. But trying to sell the stove at that startup cost has been quite a challenge. So different companies have to come up with modalities, or organizations can come in and maybe subsidize the price. That's currently what Subamoto is doing in Zambia, and I think they want to come to Malawi and try to do the same thing. But yeah, I think that will be the end of my presentation. I just have up top there, that's a Mayanko stove. So that's a fixed stove for institutions such as schools, for example. So those are the Chiteta Zombaola, but bigger version that you'd find in schools for school feeding programs. You can put these in prisons, you can put these in companies. We sometimes try to market these to, like, let's say the tea estates, if they're having to cook large meals on a daily basis, instead of putting together 3 stone fires and buying those big pots where they're using a lot of firewood, you can save up to 60% of firewood by using an improved firewood stove. So yeah, that's essentially the work that I do. Thanks for listening to my presentation.
Wow, excellent. Excellent. Yep. Wayne, let me hand over to you.
Sure, Khadija, that was fabulous. I was here thinking, I think of you, I hope you don't mind this name. I think it's the Stove Queen of Malawi.
I do not mind.
No, it's great. I mean, your knowledge is impressive, and your enthusiasm is even more impressive. I really appreciate it. Yeah, we had 2 talks yesterday, Hastings, Cutlery, and Edgar Bayon, talking about basically electricity. Today, Climate Change talking about intelligent use of biomass, and really provides comprehensive background on the offering. I think people who are interested in the productive use of renewable energy, they can find a place for themselves in all of these technologies. Either adopt or be suppliers. So I'm really grateful to you, and congratulations on hitting that 2 million mark. Well, that's pretty fabulous.
Thank you.
I can see a hand from Olivia. Yes, Olivia, go ahead.
Thank you very much, Khadija. That was a very interesting presentation. I have a question. Maybe you may have noticed this from the responses of the customers or the people that are adopting clean cooking. So most people feel that the food that is cooked on fire is more tasty than food that is cooked on electric stove. You talk of traditional delicacies like beans, for example, like the tripe, the intestines of the cow. People want to have those on fire or on charcoal. Thank you.
Thanks, Olivia, for that question, and it's actually quite a good one. This is not new. We do sometimes get people who say, "Oh, but my husband, like in the rural areas, no, my husband prefers sima that I cook on a 3 stone fire. It, the smoke is better, or whatever it is, like smoke coming into my food, because these improved technologies, like I said, they limit the amount of smoke exposure you've got to you. About what's the figure? I think it was something like 3 million people die worldwide from exposure to indoor air pollution. Most of that is from cooking. So we try to tell people, one, these statistics, but also what we do is cooking demonstrations. For example, for Jitetas Zombala, we do this a lot, cooking demonstrations where you cook the same meal on a Jitetas Zombala together with the same meal on a 3-stone fire and say, taste it, like compare. That's one of the modalities that the guys on the ground use whenever they go to the field. And most times you'll find that actually there is no difference. It was just a myth. So a lot of these assumptions or myths are there. It's not to say that smoke won't come out when you cook on an improved technology. It will come out, but the effects that an improved technology gives you versus an unimproved technology are different. If you have a braai with these improved briquettes, it's not like you won't get that same smoke that comes into your food and flavors your meat. It will still come, but the difference is the exposure, the particles that come out. One source is coming from an unsustainably made source. The other is coming from something that was sustainably made. The technology is also slightly different. So the technology is designed in a way to mitigate particles such as PM 2.5, that's particulate matter, carbon monoxide exposure, how much of the carbon dioxide that comes out that's going to be harmful to you as a person is mitigated if you just use something that's alternative and better designed. So it's about the design. And most people, especially in Malawi, seeing is believing. So we like to do demonstrations so that people can see the difference. And especially with gas, it works perfectly because gas is instant. Hey, you switch it on, the heat is instant. You don't have to wait for who knows how long for it to finally catch fire, whether it's a hot plate for it to finally get hot, or if it's charcoal for the charcoal to finally start burning. The moment you switch on your gas stove, you're good to go. You start cooking. The moment you switch it off as well, the fire is also dead. There's no hazard about maybe my kid might come around and then hurt themselves, or I'm losing still energy. I switched it off, but all this energy is still going. I could have been doing something else with it. On a Chitetas Umbrella, for example, we then say you can use that. You can still, your firewood is finished cooking, you can still put another pot of water and you can have bathing water, for example. So we try to push benefits. We talk economic savings. We talk how many times you have to go out to the forest to go and collect firewood. It's once a week versus 3 times a week or 4 times a week. There's mitigated health factors, amount of burden on your back, musculoskeletal injuries, things like going out, these people leave at 3 a.m. in the morning to go and collect firewood. You're exposed now, possibly defilement for children, rape for older women. So we try to push all these different benefits so that we can change the mindsets of people. But it's still a hassle, but it's going on.
Okay, thank you, Khadija. Let's have Asmeni. Asmeni, I've seen your hand.
All right. Hi, Khadija. That was a great presentation. I was actually quite excited to see your name. Mine is just it's a small question. I just wanted a little bit of an elaboration. You talked about there not being efficiency in the charcoal making process. That there's a lot of energy loss when they do it locally. So I just wanted a little bit of an elaboration on that, like how exactly is it contained in the new technology?
Okay, I need to understand your question again. You are talking about the efficiency in the production process?
Yes, in the production process, charcoal. In the beginning, you talked about how our local charcoal producers, the way they produce it, there's a lot of energy loss, and you said that in the new way, they're sort of containing that energy loss. I was just trying to understand that.
Oh, okay, I understand now. So in the improved ways, it's about the design of the kiln. Charcoal is burnt in a kiln. So in the traditional way, basically they dig a hole and they put all the firewood into that hole and then they light it up. And then at some point they've got to put that fire out, and what's left is that burnt charcoal. But because this kiln is not controlled in any sort of way, you end up burning almost half of the firewood into ash before you can get any sort of result, before it reaches the high enough temperatures that are needed to have charcoal. I think for charcoal, it's about 1,000 degrees that you need to reach in order for it to finally char and become charcoal. So in the process of trying to reach that temperature, half of the wood doesn't make it. It doesn't make it. You've lost half of that energy. So it means you've used up more wood than you could have used if you had used an improved kiln. An improved kiln, such as a steel kiln, that's the most improved kiln, or a half orange kiln, also known as a half dome or beehive kiln, because it's shaped a bit like a beehive or like a half circle. It's made out of clay. Because it's made out of clay, it's designed to contain heat. It's similar to the Jitete Zumbala. The Jitete Zumbala is made out of clay, like I said, because it contains the heat. So you're not losing that energy, that heat energy during that burning process. You're mitigating how much of it. So in the untraditional method, you're losing about half. With these kilns, you can lose anything from 10, maybe 15%. Also, the what is it called? I just need to remember what it's called. But basically, what I'll do is I'll send this to Chifu, a presentation that was done by a man named Gil de Puta. Let me just see if I can actually find it and pull it up now. Yes. I don't know if my screen is still showing. If it's still showing, let me know.
Khadija, you can go ahead.
Yeah, okay, I can see it. I can see it now. If I show you the carbonization process. So can you see that? Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay. So at the bottom left here is that's a half orange kiln. So this is a presentation that talks about internally heated kilns versus externally heated kilns. So those traditional ones are externally heated, whereas an improved kiln is heated internally. So the fire is at the bottom there, and it basically the wood is kept in a container, in one container. So the amount of heat that's needed to carbonize the wood is contained in there. It's not escaping elsewhere. The heat is coming from like an external area in between, and any as it smokes and whatnot, it's got an escape route. So this wood that's inside here remains unaffected, so it's able to reach the temperatures that it needs to reach in order to carbonize into charcoal before you end up destroying the amount of charcoal that you have. So you've got less ash content, for example. If you've got charcoal that's got a lot of ash content, it's not useful for you. It's actually more harmful for you. This is an example. For example, this is a steel kiln over here. So the way they've designed it is that you've got those mitigating measures so that you can minimize how much of your raw material you are wasting or not wasting, rather. If this is making any sort of sense, it's a scientific thing. I'm also just trying to get a grasp on it, but there's a whole process also that allows also for the cooling and the purification of the water that's there. You're heating water in order to provide heat for this carbonization process to happen. But with traditional ways of doing it, you don't have any of those mitigating factors, so you're losing much more. And because of that, you're having to cut many more trees just to get the same amount of charcoal that somebody who's producing charcoal sustainably would not use. I don't know if there are any other questions.
Yes, I see Lusekelo. Yes, Lusekelo, go ahead.
Yes, thank you very much, Khadija, for the wonderful presentation. I know all of us here who are here because of cooking. Cooking is very important to us farmers. We need a lot of energy as farmers and other people as well. I just have got a concern. I know you've talked a lot of disadvantages of biomass, but I've got a concern. Is there any strategy in place that is around so that we should reach a stage whereby we should move away from biomass energy
I know at the moment there is competition, which I know you are quite aware, because listening to you, it appears you are quite aware of the cooking stove steering committee. There is a competition being organized by the Ministry of Energy in partnership with MUHAB. But I can see there is also a lot of talk about biomass. Are you people not that to some extent you are promoting exposure to toxic smoke, which is actually the world biggest but less known killer? It leads to a lot of mortality, child mortality rates in Malawi. So my concern is, are you actually having any strategy in place so that we can go the Kenya way? You've talked about mix, modern energy cooking terminologies. Thank you very much. Let me stop there.
Perfect. Thank you for your question. I'm sorry, I didn't get your name, but I'm just going to answer that question as well as. Okay. Wesley, I'll also answer your question when I just finish this one. So yes, you're absolutely right. There is that concern to say we are still promoting biomass. Why can't we move away from biomass altogether? So the competition that you're actually talking about is the MCHF facility, MCHF accelerator, that's being funded by the Model Cooking for Healthy Forests. They've roped in the Ministry of Energy as well as MHub, because MHub is quite good at accelerators. And basically the aim of this accelerator is to try and see who can produce, whether it's technologies that are least harmful. So, okay, if we talk strategies, the government does have in place strategies. It's now a matter of implementation of those strategies. There's the National Charcoal Strategy. There's also the SC for All, Sustainable Energy for All Action Agenda. In these documents, and also the National Energy Policy, in these documents, you will see what the steps are that have been highlighted by the government itself to say, these are the steps that we need to take in order to move away from this status quo and get into a new one. But at the same time, we also acknowledge that Malawi being landlocked, we're quite at a disadvantaged position. Already, for example, coming into having access to gas. The fact that we're landlocked means, we've got to take into consideration landing costs and bringing in, importing a lot of these technologies. So now MCHF, for example, wants to see who can make things locally that will be more affordable and more available, because all these things that we have to import are going to be more expensive for people. Who can do something that has the same effects, but it's cheaper for people, so that we can move away from what's there. The second thing is also, you talked a lot about the harmfulness, and yeah, you're actually right. Currently, indoor air pollution targets people, especially with the smoke exposure. Like I said, the Clean Cooking Alliance, I think they say about 3 million people worldwide on an annual basis are dying from indoor air pollution as a result from the exposure that they have to smoke from cooking. And that's where these improved technologies come in, because it's all about the design. If you look at, for example, the Jitete Zombaula, it only has one opening, unlike a 3-stone fire where there's 3 openings around it. So everything is controlled. The amount of firewood that you use, you can't use a lot of fire. You can't use big logs with Jitete Zombaula. It will not light. You need thin little pieces of firewood. You need or thin sticks, if you can call them that, or maize cobs. And so that also, and they need to be dry. So these are things that we also, when you go to the ground, we teach the people, you must make sure that your fuel is dry. So that, because dry fuel is not going to produce as much smoke as a wet fuel. If you have tried to light a wet firewood, you know the amount of smoke that comes out of there. So it's also about teaching behavior change in a way. And we realize, like I said, biomass is here for quite a long time. It's going to take a while before we all migrate to having everybody switch to gas, for example, or having everybody switch to biogas. Bringing in biogas into the country as it is quite expensive, regardless of the fact that the ministry has taken off tax, for example, because you can also use biogas, or the byproducts of biogas for agriculture, and everything that's agriculture has got no tax bringing it in. But those things are expensive to import them in. Clement can tell you how extremely difficult it is. The gas guys will tell you the same thing. The improved charcoal guys will tell you, you know what, these designs are coming from the US. They come in from the US, they come into Kenya, then they import them from Kenya and they assemble them locally. But still, that EnviroFit stove costs you about 18,000 to 25,000 Malawi kwacha. Why can't we get something that's an improved technology that you can get for 2,000 kwacha, for example? So there's always wanting to balance, okay, we cannot completely get rid of the biomass, but what can we do to improve the effects that the biomass has, while at the same time simultaneously working on making it easier to get the more improved technologies. 80% of Malawi's population is rural. There's no way 80% of the population is going to start using gas today. It is way too expensive unless the government decides to subsidize these things. So what the accelerator is trying to do is try to find ways of making better alternatives that can be cheaper and more affordable for the people. And then I have an answer for Wezi, where you asked about the mbaula we buy. They are burnt. What do you use to burn the mbaula before selling them? Again, there's two ways. So majority of the mbaula are actually burnt using firewood. There's often that question to say, how is it that you say you're saving firewood by using Chitetezo Mbaula, yet Chitetezo Mbaula also uses firewood to burn the clay stoves? If you look at it, I think the Chitetezo Mbaula uses 1.6 kgs per stove of firewood to burn it. So already, compared to the amount of firewood you would have used on a 3-stone fire versus using a Chitetezo Mbaula, you're going to make up that 1.6 kgs in 2 days maximum. And then you're done. You never have to make up for the amount of firewood that was used to burn that stove ever again. So that's where the saving comes in. You're using 30 to 60% less firewood in Chitetezo Mbaula than you would have used on mafua, on 3-stone fire, and that's quite a significant save. And so that's why we still insist on people, even the if it's not Chitetezo Mbaula, because that's portable and that's clay, even the fixed stoves, there's fixed stoves known as Changu Moto, which is like a part brick, part mud, which you can just build in a kitchen, in a rural person's kitchen, and you don't have to move that. There's no firing of that stove, and you're still making savings from that, because you just have to make sure that you've got mafua on top of the stove, or the Total Land Care rocket stove. You just have to make sure that your mafua is still in place. Your what are they called? Your pot rests. In English, mafua is pot rests. Your pot rests have to be raised so that you can also minimize the amount of smoke that comes out. If your stove doesn't have somewhere to sit on, if your pot doesn't have a pot rest for it to sit on, if it's sitting directly on top of where the fire is coming out, that's another thing that then leads into more smoke being produced and more exposure to the harmful particular materials. So it's like you've done nothing. So we train the people on how to make those as well. Yeah, that's my answer
wow,
to
thank
that.
you so much, Khadija. I think you have just provoked a lot of questions as well as comments from the participants. Meanwhile, because of for the interest of time, let's call it a day. We appreciate your presence and your support to this program. Thank you so much. Wayne, anyway, to Khadija.
Yeah, 2 words. Thank you. I told Edgar and Hastings the other day I was really embarrassed by how much I learned from the 2 of them. I feel the same way about you and Clement. You're so organized and you have such a comprehensive knowledge. We're really genuinely grateful for you sharing that with us. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Well, Khadija, we can let you go now. We can let you exit. And Clement, thank you so much for supporting us. We don't take this for granted. Thank you so much. You may exit. Yeah, sure.
Bye, everyone.
Okay.
Bye, Khadija.
Bye. Bye.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Khadija.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah. So thank you guys. How was today's session? Just briefly.
Great.
Wonderful.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Yes, Wayne? You have a comment?
Sorry, I think the challenge is for everybody to look at the presentations from this week, from Clement, Asia, Edgar, and Hastings, and say, hey, how does my work fit in with this? How can I help them? How can they help me? And just an awful lot of technical knowledge here, both on the what we'll call smart biomass side and on the electric generation side. So as you're going about your own work, just look for the ways in which you can buckle of those people, help them and use their knowledge. That's a very abstract thing to say, but I think it's really important. Again, the future of Malawi rests on the integration between agriculture and energy. Thank you so much, everyone.
And that becomes our exercise, our group exercise as well. Can you integrate these technologies in your work? What about in the community that you're working in? That would be our, and which technologies? I think Khadija, as well as Clement, have shared a few. Which of these technologies that have been shared can be used or can be integrated in your work as well as in your community? What kind of resources are readily available that can be converted into energy in your communities? You should give us specific examples. There should be a case study. So that will be our exercise for this week. Otherwise, thanks everyone for participating, and a special thanks to the group leaders. Where's Emmanuel? Everybody, you're doing a great job. Honestly, we've seen a lot of creativity coming up. We've seen a lot of innovations. I would like to encourage you not to give up on some of your members. We understand everybody is busy, but we want you to encourage your members to get involved in these kind of exercises. At the end of this training, you realize why we were encouraging you to do the group exercises. This time around, we want to do a different thing when it comes to D Studio. Instead of, I've not told when this, but I feel this is the direction we should take, looking at the nature of the program being individual. We just want to select members based on the projects that they'll present at the end of the Delab. So much as you are doing group exercises, know that at the end of the Delab, that will be the 4th week of January, you'll be expected to present a video of your project. And we'll use that in terms of selecting members that will be, that will start our D Studio in February, come February. So much as we are talking about group work, it is an individual thing. So work hard, put your effort, participate. It's for your own good. And I was telling Lusekera to say the Delab is just an iceberg of what Flame Tree has. We have a whole 12-month program named D Studio, Development Entrepreneurship Studio. You don't need to miss that if you're a serious social entrepreneur. So please participate, engage, ask questions, engage with your leaders. And leaders, please encourage your members to participate. I know it's not easy to you to engage some people, but do it anyway. Do it anyway,
Right.
follow up. Thank you so much. I don't know if anyone has got a question, a comment, 1 or 2 people, then we can close today's session.
Just thank you, Chief. You're doing a great job.
Welcome, man. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we'll see everybody next Tuesday, but work hard and let's have full attendance on Tuesday. It'll be great.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Have a good evening and see you again Tuesday. Yeah?
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Got some renewable energy stuff to digest right now, you know. You know? It's good stuff. It's good stuff. I'm learning so much. Yeah, thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right. Wayne, just hold on. We'll use the same line just to briefly make some comments. We have a holiday in Malawi tomorrow, so
Yeah, we have a
Yes.
holiday here on Monday. We'll probably ignore it anyway, which we should not, but I won't. I'll be working, you know that.
Yeah, sure, I know that.
Which holiday is tomorrow?
It's John Chirembwe Day.
Oh, great. A personal hero of mine. That's great. You did the right thing.
Yes, Wayne, I
Okay.
think just two of us. Yes, Wayne.
Hey, that
How was
was-
today's session?
Both sessions this week were fabulous. Fabulous.
Yeah.
So, is Khadijah going to